I'm Gaurav Chintamnidi. Coming up on Chapman News, universities across the country are confronted with student protests in regards to Israel and Hamas war. Just ahead, I'll talk about a reaction in regards to a controversial speaker we had here on Chapman University's campus.
No estamos felices con lo que nos ofrecen.
Also coming up, hundreds of California janitors are threatening to strike over wages and working conditions after management offers them a raise of just $1. We have the story.
Everything from hot rods to classics. Thousands of vintage car lovers recently gathered in our backyard for the annual car show. We have highlights, plus your weather and sports just ahead.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Chapman News. I'm Alexandra Cohen-Yards.
And I'm Gavin Nguyen. We start today with updates on the war in Gaza. The Senate is today discussing a foreign aid package which includes over $26 billion of aid to Israel.
Some preliminary voting is expected this afternoon. The discussion comes after the aid package, which includes aid to Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel, was passed in the House over the weekend with bipartisan support. Lawmakers like Representative Michael McCall applauded House Speaker Mike Johnson's support for the measure.
But he knows that if we didn't do this, the consequences would have been severe, not just for the United States, but for the free world.
Yesterday, Israel's head of intelligence resigned, the first senior military officer to do so since the war began in October over the weekend. Israel continues its strikes on the southern Gazan city of Rafah. According to AP News, 22 people were killed, 18 of which were children. Columbia University says its classes will be hybrid for the remainder of the semester. Pro-Palestinian protests were seen across campus in the Northeast yesterday in a series of tense standoffs between college administrators and student protesters. At Columbia, dozens of faculty members walked out in solidarity with protesting students who have set up a tent encampment on the campus. Some Jewish students reported they were targeted with verbal anti-Semitic harassment. In New England, protests took place at MIT and at Yale, where 47 people were arrested. Back in New York, over 400 protesters at NYU set up their own encampment yesterday, and the Associated Press reports 133 protesters were arrested by the NYPD. New York Governor Kathy Hochul posted a video on her X account calling out both sides of the protests and asking for compassion.
People need to find their humanity. Have the conversations, talk to each other, understand different points of view, because that's what college students should be doing.
President Biden also commented yesterday, condemning the anti-Semitism that was seen during some protests.
Meanwhile, here on the West Coast, tensions between student protesters and law enforcement flared in Northern California's Humboldt County. School administrators shut down the Cal Poly Humboldt campus yesterday evening after pro-Palestinian protesters occupied an administrative building and refused police orders to leave. Protesters chanted "Free Palestine" and "Cops Go Home" while confronting police officers wearing helmets and holding riot shields. Once protesters entered the building, they vandalized the walls with writing saying "Land Back." This morning, the campus is still locked down and in-person classes were canceled.
Here at Chapman University, a pro-Palestinian speaker was invited to campus. This caused some controversy.
Our Gaurav Chintamnidi talked to campus community members about what happened. He joins us live now with the story.
Thank you, Gavin and Alex. I'm right in front of Memorial Hall, a building here on campus where you can locate the university president's office, as well as other top administrators here on campus as well. Recently, a student organization of the name of Students for Justice in Palestine put together a student speaker event, which caused a lot of controversy here on Chapman University's campus. Let's take a look.
To the governing board of Chapman University, Chapman students and faculty, we at Chapman University Students for Justice in Palestine are calling for a complete and total divestment from all weapon manufacturers and institutions that aid the occupation of Palestine.
The Chapman chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine recently invited Palestinian activist and influencer Maya Abdallah to speak about the Israel-Hamas war. However, several Chapman students reported to campus public safety that they felt, quote, uncomfortable by Abdallah's presence. Public safety then sent an email to the entire Chapman community, noting there would be a buffer zone established between protesting groups. Chapman Peace and Justice Studies professor Lisa Light says she was disappointed by the public safety email.
We've had Nixon on this campus. We've had President Bush. We've had Condoleezza Rice, Schwarzkopf. We've had people who have been called and should be understood as war criminals on our campus, and we've not sent letters like this.
Chapman senior Ethan Oppenheimer, a member of the group Students Supporting Israel, told me why he thinks campus security needed to take extra steps.
The speaker wasn't just your typical Palestinian activist. The speaker has spoken in support of violence against Jews, calling for intifada in the United States and in Gaza.
Just days later, SJP continued their protests, walking out of class and demanding that Chapman divest itself from any interests that support Israel.
Have privilege, have education. We must stand up for those who do not. We must stand up for those.
And this has been kind of a repeated problem we've had on campus with political organizations, and anything we do is the university will always do these kind of fluff emails to kind of cover their behind because of the liability they're worried about.
Rabbi Casey Kale is director of Jewish life at Chapman's Fish Interfaith Center. She says Jewish students have been deeply impacted by the Israel-Hamas war and need support.
There is no one in the land of Israel that doesn't know someone that was killed on October 7th or since. There is no one who doesn't know someone who was taken captive and perhaps still is captive.
I talked to Chapman University's Dean of Student Affairs, Jerry Price, who told me that Chapman University as an institution will provide a safe environment for students while also supporting free speech. I'm Gaurav Chintamnidi reporting live for Chapman News. Now back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Gaurav, for that important report. Google has fired another 20 workers who protested the tech company's contracts with Israel, bringing the total number of fired employees to 50. A group called No Tech for Apartheid organized the protests and responded to the firings in a post on Instagram stating, quote, Google fired 20 additional workers, including non-participants, bystanders who were there during last week's protests. In response, Google issued a statement saying, quote, every single one of those whose employment was terminated was personally and definitively involved in disruptive activity inside our buildings.
The former head of the company that owned the National Enquirer tabloid is back on the witness stand today in former President Trump's criminal trial in Manhattan. Trump is accused of concealing a hush money payment to former adult film star Stormy Daniels. Today, prosecutors called former American media CEO David Pecker back to the stand and questioned him about whether he avoided running negative stories about Trump by buying the rights to the stories and then never publishing them. Pecker testified that the Enquirer did in fact practice checkbook journalism and paid for stories. Prosecutors say Trump made payments to Daniels to prevent a story about their alleged affair from getting out and hurting his chances in the 2016 election. Defense attorney Todd Blanche told the jury yesterday that, quote, there is nothing wrong with trying to influence an election and that there's no proof Trump had any criminal intent. This is the first time a former president has ever been tried in a criminal trial. It's expected to last 6 weeks.
Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson's job seems to be safe despite calls for his ouster by some in his party. Johnson led the way this past weekend as the House passed a bipartisan $95 billion foreign aid package, with $61 billion going directly to Ukraine. Far-right Republicans, including Georgia's Marjorie Taylor Greene, have threatened to force Johnson out. They say he should not be working with Democrats on a foreign aid bill, while U.S. border crises continue. But Johnson does have the support from many in his party, including New York State Representative Mike Lawler.
The Speaker is doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
The House is now on a one-week recess while representatives return to their home districts.
The Orange County cities of Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, and Orange have left a statewide lobbying group because of the organization's support of Proposition 1. Prop 1 was narrowly passed by California voters last month. It authorizes the use of more than $6 billion in bonds to create more housing and drug treatment centers for homeless people. While the measure was narrowly passed by voters statewide, it was rejected by Orange County voters. As a result, city leaders in Newport Beach, Huntington Beach, and Orange voted to leave the California League of Cities, which supports Prop 1. Supporters of the proposition say a new approach is needed to address the state's homelessness crisis. Leah Smith works at Catholic Worker Community Shelter in Santa Ana. She's not sure why OC voters would reject Prop 1, but says often people don't understand the need for a community response to homelessness.
There has been always a desire for somebody else to do it, make it somebody else's problem, not mine. We've done enough.
Critics say Prop 1 reduces local funding control and could lead to more problematic group homes in California counties. Our coverage of homelessness in California continues as the state of California is giving more than $3 million to the city of Anaheim to move people currently living in homelessness encampments along the 91 freeway to shelters. The money will be used to build a new shelter that will house up to 75 people. California is awarding nearly $200 million in funding to various communities around the state to address homeless encampments located near freeways. Anaheim is the only city in Orange County to receive the funding.
I'm Luis Avila. Let's take a look at weather headlines for today. First up, wetlands. We'll talk about the importance of our local wetlands and how one group is working to restore them. Also, we have a very strong marine layer these past few days and still to come. I'll tell you about how long that'll last, and I'll have the rest of your forecast coming up next.
If you're a vintage car fan, then the Orange Plaza near the campus of Chapman was the place to be this past weekend. That story coming up after a short break. Stay tuned.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but all of them are pure love.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So, yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
The last time unionized janitors in California went on strike was the year 2000. But now, janitors say they are ready to strike again. Chapman News reporter Sophie Acosta attended a recent union rally in Los Angeles and has this report.
According to the Service Employees International Union, or the SEIU Workers West, there are over 2,500 unionized janitors working across California. The union says a new contract being offered to the janitors includes only a $1 pay increase over the next 4 years, meaning a 25-cent increase each year. Janitors say that this $1 increase is offensive.
A todos ellos decirles que no estamos felices con lo que nos ofrecen.
As you can see behind me, hundreds of janitors and supporters and service workers have gathered on the streets of Los Angeles to show their support and solidarity and are ready to go on strike.
The union is negotiating with ABM Industries, demanding better medical care, health care, and insurance. Lulu Martinez has been a janitor for over 25 years. She has a spinal disc injury, but says she can't afford to miss work.
No contamos con ningún beneficio. Cuando sales, te vas a la lista de temporales y ahí te bajan el salario que estabas ganando y te bajan muchos beneficios, ¿no? Entonces perdemos porque te pagan el mínimo, empiezas como una persona nueva, pierdes muchas cosas.
Los Angeles Assemblywoman Luz Rivas has proposed Bill AB 2364, which outlines a baseline of janitorial rights. One of the measures would mandate janitors only be assigned to clean up to 2,000 square feet per hour. Currently, it is unclear how much square footage a janitor is required to maintain. Joyce Montiel, SEIU organizer, says during the pandemic, there were several job cuts because office buildings sat empty. Now she says that's being used as an excuse by management.
But they still come, the trash still there, that the trash says, tells a different story. So these janitors, they're basically being exploited.
In addition to working wages, the union members are demanding a safe working environment. Several women janitors say they have been assaulted on the job.
Muchas veces no podemos hablar porque si hablas o ayudas a tu amiga, a tu amistad, tu compañera, toman represalias contra de ti. Entonces la gente vive con miedo.
The current contract is set to expire at the end of this month, and janitors are prepared to strike May 1st. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Sophie Acosta.
The Supreme Court will hear arguments later this week about whether former President Trump can be charged for his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. Trump's attorneys maintain the former president should have total immunity from prosecution. Prosecutors, however, say presidents are not above the law and that Trump should be charged with conspiring to defraud the United States, among 3 other charges. They say Trump took part in a plan to submit fake slates on electors in order to win 7 battleground states. If the Supreme Court rejects the immunity claims, the case may be sent down to a lower court, possibly delaying a trial until after November's presidential election.
A campaign is underway to reverse parts of California Prop 47 and restore tougher penalties for shoplifting and drug possession. Proposition 47 was passed by California voters in 2014. It made nonviolent property thefts where the value is less than $950 misdemeanor crimes. Some blame Prop 47 for a recent jump in retail theft. Backers of the campaign to repeal parts of the proposition believe they have the 546,000 signatures to get the measure on this November's ballot. The deadline to file the signatures is today. Meanwhile, some state Democratic lawmakers plan to introduce legislation today that they say will resolve the issues with Prop 47 without a need to have the matter on the November ballot. Now, it took about a year, but the historic fountain at the heart of Old Town Orange near the Chapman campus has finally been restored. The fountain was damaged in March 2023 when it was struck by a car whose driver was being chased by police. The city worked to preserve the original design and materials as much as possible. The restoration cost more than $220,000. The grandson of the original tile designer worked on the repairs using the original tools to color match the tiles. City of Orange Mayor Pro Tem Ariana Barrios had the honor of flipping the switch to bring the fountain back to life during a celebratory reopening last week.
Disney already has a major footprint on the city of Anaheim, and now its impact will get even bigger with the City Council's recent preliminary approval of a Disneyland expansion project. The project is called Disneyland Forward. Council members voted 7-0 in favor of the proposal, approving the entertainment giant's almost $2 billion expansion and transferring ownership of 3 city streets that are currently public. The project gives Disney more flexibility to build in Anaheim. It is a 40-year agreement that dictates the logistics for future developments. Last Tuesday's meeting drifted into the early morning hours of Wednesday as a passionate crowd of more than 200 people spoke both in favor and against the new plan.
The bottom line for me is not how much money I'm going to make from my, house. It's about quality of life. It's about this disgusting, corrupt, and just never-ending hunger for Disneyland. How much do you want?
This project will ensure that we have a strong and incredibly bright future for Anaheim and its residents. It will create more life-changing opportunities for all who live and work here in Anaheim. There's never been a more exciting time.
As the plan includes a commitment of $30 million to be spent on affordable housing, $8 million on city parks, and an estimated 9,000 new jobs. Although the council's vote gives initial approval, it will have a procedural vote on May 7th. If approved, the project will start 30 days later.
The developers of a major multi-use complex near the Honda Center in Anaheim are trading office space for housing. The OC Business Journal reports the developers of the $4 billion OC Vibe project, Anaheim Ducks owners Henry and Susan Samueli, have decided to demolish the Arena Corporate Center. They will instead replace it with 750 residential units, with 15% of them set aside for more affordable rent housing. OC Vibe will span roughly 100 acres between the Santa Ana River and the Orange Freeway. It will also include a concert venue, 2 new hotels, and a new riverfront park. Early construction is underway, and the first phase of the project could open to the public as early as 2026.
All of this recent gloom has me really missing the sunshine. What about you, Gavin?
Me too, Alex, but our weather anchor Luis Avila can tell us how long it'll be till it's back to being hot. Luis?
Thanks, Kevin and Alex. Yeah, we'll have to be a little patient until we get to those warmer temperatures later on. But first, a happy belated Earth Day, everybody. Events have been taking place all month long here in OC to protect and restore our native habitats, including our local wetlands. Now, according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, more than 90% of California's wetlands have been destroyed within the last century. This is a raising concern as wetlands play an important part in water runoff, purification, and shoreline shoreline erosion control. Many species of animals also rely on wetlands, especially during migration and breeding. Now, over the weekend, OC Habitats, an organization focused on environmental conservation, along with volunteers, took to Magnolia Marsh for a cleanup. According to OC Habitats, it's the only wetland in the county located at Huntington Beach. With gloves on and trash bags in hand, volunteers work to remove weeds and plastic waste from the vegetation. OC Habitats founder Stacy Chartier-Grabble says conservation efforts like this are only possible with the help of volunteers.
Volunteer, always looking for people who want to get their hands dirty and get out here and help us remove trash, remove invasive species, plant new species. It's just an incredible habitat, and we've lost so much that we're trying to preserve what we have left.
For more information on ways you can help to protect our local habitats, you can visit ochabitats.org. Now, as you saw in the video, it's been pretty cloudy recently, and because of that, I'm wearing my gray suit. But enough of my suit. Let's go ahead and take a look at current conditions outside right now. Outside of Dodge College of Film and Media Arts here in Orange, temperature is currently at 69 degrees, partly cloudy. We'll begin to see the sun make its way around the clouds, but until then, enjoy the sun and the clouds. Now, moving on to our national forecast, let's start off with the West Coast. Clouds up and down the coast. Seattle 68 degrees, San Francisco 61. Moving on to the deserts, unsurprisingly very hot. Vegas 90, Phoenix at a scorching 97 degrees. Denver at 63 and partly cloudy. Moving on to the Midwest, Minneapolis at 60, and Chicago, get those umbrellas ready because you'll be seeing rain at 67 degrees. Down south, Houston 79, Atlanta 74, and Miami a humid 80 degrees. And up in the Northeast, sunny and clear conditions, New York 61 and DC at 73. Now zooming into our local OC forecast, temperatures mostly in the mid to upper 60s. Down south at our beaches are the coldest in the county. So 64 Laguna Beach, 65 San Clemente. As you get further inland, temperatures are a bit warmer, but not too much. 67 Newport Beach as well as Mission Viejo, 69 Westminster, and 68 in Irvine. Now we're talking about all the clouds today recently, and the reason for that is the strong marine layer. So now, we live in SoCal, so the air tends to get a little warm in the spring and summer months. That's where we get May gray and June gloom. Now the air is warm, but our waters typically are pretty cool in the Pacific, and so those cooler temperatures in the ocean tend to cool the air right above it, creating this layer and this corridor where clouds tend to move in and linger a little longer than usual. So that is where we get the morning gray clouds. Now moving on to our 5-day Fenestra forecast, like I said today, 69 degrees, partly cloudy. We'll see a gradual decrease up until Thursday, which is the coldest of the next 5 days, 67 degrees and fully cloudy, and then we'll see a slow warm up until Saturday. Look at that, sunny and clear conditions. The marine layer will be out of the area. 73 degrees, lows mostly in the low 50s, so make sure to bundle up at night. That's it for me in the weather department. I'm Luis Avila. Back to you.
Thanks, Luis. Those conditions seem perfect on Saturday, don't you think?
I know. I'm so excited to finally have a sunny weekend.
But talking about weekends, I heard this past weekend a lot more cars driving around my place than usual.
Funny you say that. I actually did too. But you know what? That might have been because of the car show that happened just in our backyard. Our reporter Dan Batson has more.
The Orange Circle was closed off on Sunday for a different kind of traffic. The Orange Rotary Club hosted its annual car show, which attracted over 400 different classic cars and an expected 15,000 car enthusiasts. The show happened for the 28th year, and fans like Parker and Jagger keep coming back because of the community.
Just come over and see if you like it and try it. Just dip your head in the water. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think much of it at first. Like when I first came, like I was like, old cars, but dude, this place is awesome. It's like brought the whole entire Orange County community together.
Every year, the Orange Rotary Club hosts the event to raise money for programs for both youth and adults, as well as other community service projects. Rotary Club members like John Boyer say the annual car show isn't just about trophies or cars, but an opportunity to support important causes.
We do a mentor meals program with El Medina High School. We support the El Medina Family Resource Center. We support the Troop 241 Boy Scouts. We work on some literacy programs.
And car owners like Mike Haddison find themselves back every year because the show is so well done.
This is really one of the best car shows around.
Really?
I mean, yeah, because it has every kind of car, and they handle it really, really well.
Next year, the Rotary Club will continue their annual car show, and you may see Mike's yellow Mini Mark II once again. For more information about next year's fundraiser or what's happening near you, check out orangeplazarotary.org. For Chapman News, I'm Dan Batson.
Well, that was such a great show to cover, but now I'm moving on to sports. The NBA playoffs are underway and our LA teams are fighting for spots. I'm Dan Batson and I'll have that and more sports news just ahead.
Adrenaline coursing through your body. And you are calling the shots. Feel the power as you control the game's narrative. From commentator to camera virtuoso, replay wizard to unyielding director. There is no better experience than being in the moment. Challenge your limits and embrace the electrifying rush that comes with the crowd's roar. You never know the epic plays you will capture and the masterpiece you could make. You could be an amateur learning on the fly or a pro wanting to expand your skills. You will always fit in. And what better place to broadcast your skills than in sports? Never knowing what is coming next and always coming across something new. Join the Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network and experience the thrill of life.
Orange County had several high schools qualify for the recent California Academic Decathlon. This year's theme was technology and humanity. Students had their knowledge tested through multiple choice exams, essays, interviews, and speeches. In Division 1, Irvine's Woodbridge High School finished in 4th place. Mater Dei from Santa Ana came in 13th. In Division 2, Valencia High School from Placentia finished 1st, and Irvine's University High School placed 2nd. In Division 3, Westminster High School came in 7th. Congratulations to all the decathletes. Now, it's been more than 2 months since the Super Bowl, but sports analysts are still talking about football.
Yeah, and I don't know much about the NFL, but I do know the draft is just around the corner. Our sports reporter, Dan Batson, has that and more. Dan?
Thank you, Alex and Gavin, and welcome to the Panther Sports Roundup. I'm Dan Batson, and today I'll be getting you the inside scoop of all things sports. But first, the NBA playoffs have officially kicked off, and our teams from the City of Angels are fighting to get a spot in the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers are facing off against the defending champs, Denver Nuggets, who are led by my vote for MVP this year, Nikola Jokic. The Lakers lost their first game on Saturday and almost evened the score last night. LeBron and Anthony Davis kept it close, but lost in the final seconds from a Jamal Murray buzzer beater. It was Nikola Jokic that kept the Nuggets alive. He had 27 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists. Those teams travel to LA for the next 2 games. Across the freeway, the Clippers started off hot, winning their first game against the Mavericks without former Finals MVP Kawhi Leonard. James Harden and Ivica Zubac led the team in points, rebounds, and assists, but it was the Mavericks' second quarter slump that cost them the game, only scoring 8 points compared to the Clippers' 22. Their next game is tomorrow at Crypto.com Arena at 7 p.m. Now, the NFL draft is finally upon us, and this year is stacked with talent. And with mock drafts and names being thrown around, I'm going to kind of simplify it and get you those first 6 picks that are going to be ready to go. Now, it's undeniable that first round pick and number 1 pick in the draft is going to be the Chicago Bears, and they're going to be picking up Caleb Williams from USC. I know one of the NFL analysts I love, Adam Rank, is happy about that one. Now, with picks 2 and 3, you're going to see the Commanders pick up some other QBs. They've got those open spots, and I will think that the Heisman is going to go first, and that's going to be LSU QB Jaden Daniels, and then the University of North Carolina QB Drake May going to the Patriots. Now, let's talk about 4 through 6, because this is where it can get a little bit dicey in all those mock drafts you see. But I think we're going to go for wide receivers in this draft. Obviously, you have to go Marvin Harrison first. He's the most dynamic, and he will fit into that team so well with the Cardinals. Then the Chargers, then the Giants. They're going to go Odunze and then Neighbors, and I will let you hold you to that because next week you can come back and see me back on sports and make sure that I got those picks right. But keep your popcorn ready because the draft is on 5 p.m. on Thursday in Detroit. Make sure you go on our socials, vote on our polls, and see if all my picks were correct. Now, the women's lacrosse, let's go back to Orange. Women's lacrosse clinched a spot in the SCIAC tournament after their 19-9 victory against Cal Lutheran. Ada Carr led the team while tying a school record. She is our athlete of the week. The sophomore biological science major scored 5 goals and assisted on 4 more in the game. Carr tied a school record which teammate Lindsay Huss set only about a month ago. Carr has also been named SCIAC Offensive Athlete of the Week. She is tied for first on the team in goals and 3rd in assists and 2nd in points. Carr has been excited since the season started after not playing much during her first year.
I'm a very happy player, I'd like to say. I just like to play. And I really enjoy playing with my teammates again. It's all about wanting to be here for practice and wanting to have a good time.
The women's lacrosse team will return to Wilson Field this Saturday at 11 a.m. to take on the Claremont Mud Scripps Athenas. Well, that's it for your Panther Sports Roundup. I'm Dan Batson, and be sure to stay tuned next week to find out if my predictions came true. Back to you, Alex and Gavin.
Thanks, Dan. Well, from the NFL draft to drafting down the straightaways, IndyCar returned to Southern California for the Long Beach Grand Prix. Chapman News reporters Orion Powell and Kyle Carr got the chance to check it out.
I'm Orion Powell reporting at the streets of Long Beach Indy Grand Prix for Chapman News. Once a year, the streets of Long Beach turn into a racecourse for the IndyCar Grand Prix. Behind the Indy 500, it is considered one of the top racing events in America. People come to Long Beach from all over the world for the event. When asked why, Jacob Evans, visiting from Texas, had this to say.
So if you know much about IndyCar, Indianapolis 500 up here, next best race, Long Beach. Nice. So it's a bucket list for us.
Not only do the cars take over the streets with 3 major race events, the fans also flood local businesses. The race brings in nearly $70 million, with half that money going to the city itself. Many locals join in the festivities.
I actually live walking distance from here,
Okay,
so
nice.
at least it was easy.
However, as in life, not all goes to plan. A crash ended some of the events early, and others were nearly canceled. During the Stadium Super Truck event, a truck crashed into a safety barrier, putting the event on halt for a while.
What we did see was awesome and a lot of fun. It's just a shame that it ended a bit prematurely.
GT America was actually able to continue as they were able to make the repairs to the track in time after the SST crash. It's been a lot of ups and downs today. This has been Orion Powell reporting for Chapman News.
I'm Tess Martinelli. Still to come on Chapman News, how many advertisements do you think the average person sees in a day? Make your guess, and I'll let you know after the break.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
So before our break, Tess had a question for us, and that's how many ads do we see in a day? Now, we're both advertising minors, so I hope we get this one. I'm gonna guess around 1,000. What do you think, Alex?
1,000? I'm gonna have to go a little higher with that. I think 5,000? But Tess, what's the real answer?
Well, Alex and Gavin, those were both great guesses, but according to a 2024 study conducted by Citify, the answer is up to 10,000. That's about 14 ads every single minute. This begs the question, how do companies make ads that stand out these days? Let's break down the biggest ad campaigns of the past year in order to find out. First up, the Barbie movie. In July of 2023, movie theaters around the nation were filled with people dressed in head-to-toe pink, excitedly waiting to see their favorite childhood doll come to life. But what created this pink frenzy? Well, a Warner Bros. Budget and a healthy dose of Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling certainly didn't hurt, but their marketing campaign succeeded by taking a multi-generational approach. They invoked nostalgia in older generations by referencing classic dolls and by partnering with brands like Progressive, Airbnb, and Bloomingdale's. They appealed to younger generations by using social media trends and partnering with brands like Crocs and Cold Stone Creamery. As a result, the film successfully earned its place as a feminist film for every generation. As of today, the Barbie movie has grossed nearly $1.5 billion. Next up is a marketing campaign that broke the internet with just one video, Grand Theft Auto. It had been over a decade since Rockstar Games released the most recent installment in their GTA series. But on December 5th, 2023, they published the first official trailer for GTA 6, and it currently has 186 million views on YouTube. The trailer used in-game footage, which a coalition of eager fans are using to piece together what the highly classified map will look like, meaning GTA successfully got fans to do their marketing for them. The YouTube trailer is titled Trailer 1, which insinuates that there will be more teases to come before the 2025 release. GTA proved that sometimes the best way to build anticipation is through time. Finally, let's take a look at a social media meme turned marketing masterpiece. It's Dunkin'. The coffee and donut chain has been with Americans on their morning commute since 1948. But at the 2024 Grammy Awards, they launched a commercial featuring Ben Affleck trying to reinvent himself after his bored face at the 2023 Grammys went viral. The ad blew up, so Dunkin' doubled down on the ridiculousness. They featured Affleck in a video surprising fans as a Dunkin' employee, and they even gave him his very own drink called the Dunk King's iced coffee. Affleck has now done Dunkin' collabs with Ice Spice, J-Lo, Jack Harlow, and Charli D'Amelio, among others, making the celebrity ad kind of cool again. These three ad campaigns prove that standing out in an oversaturated market is difficult, but not impossible. I can't wait to see which one of the 365,000 ads in 2024 make the list this year. This is Tess Martinelli. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you for that fascinating report, Tess. That is it for this edition of Chapman News. I'm Alexander Konyarts, and shout out to the students from Troy High School in Fullerton who visited us today and watched our live newscast.
And I'm Gavin Nguyen. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chapman News and on YouTube at chapmannews.tv. Thanks for watching, and join us again next Tuesday for more Chapman News.